In the early 1830s, Mrs. Mary Delphine and her third husband, Dr. Leonard Lewis, bought the large house located at 1140 Royal Street. Immediately after her move, Mary began to equip the house with the finest types of furniture and tools, gold and silver dishes, and original paintings of the most famous artists. But behind all this, Mary was hiding the other side of a terrifying woman who does not know mercy about Mary. Mary Delphine was born around 1775 in New Orleans after her father, Bartholomew Lewis McCarty, moved there from Ireland in 1730. Her mother, Mary Jane, also known as the Widow Yacomt, because Mary's father was her second husband, was loved among the people. Mary's family were prominent members of the New Orleans White Society. Her cousin Augustine de McCarty was mayor of New Orleans from 1815 to 1820. On June 11, 1800, Mary married her first husband, Don Ramon López de, a high-ranking Spanish officer at St. Louis Cathedral in New Orleans during 1804. Royal Street, with the small participation of her husband, managed to build a 3-story palace and buy 4 slaves. Torture chamber. On April 10, 1834, a fire broke out in Mary Delphine's mansion. The fire led to the discovery of a torture chamber where slaves were brutally tortured for long periods by their lady, Mary Delphine. During the fire, Mary was busy moving her valuables out of the house, and the neighbors helped her with that, but they soon noticed that none of Mary's slaves were present and wondered how they don't help their lady and where they all went. And when they found out about their detention inside the house, they appealed to Mary to release them or at least give them the key to get them out, but she refused completely. Then the people ignored Mary and rushed into the house and smashed the doors, and inside they first found a 70-year-old black woman. For a year, she was stuck in the kitchen during the fire, because she had been slapped earlier by her lady, Mary, who did not bother to untie her slave and release her because she was busy saving her luxurious furniture. The woman later revealed that she had set fires in order to kill herself and investigate the torment to which she is always exposed. Then this lady led them to a room in the attic where a large group of slaves were found subjected to different types of torture, including 7 men had iron collars around their necks, and around their legs were also iron bracelets connected by chains attached to the ground and walls. There were those whose nails were hammered inside their bodies, some of them were locked in small animal cages, and some of them were skinned in a room called the torture room. The condition of all slaves was very bad from the large number of torture and lack of food. Wounds and deformities covered large patches of their bodies, but the matter of torturing slaves at the time was not strange, but on the contrary, the treatment of slaves sadistic and brutal was known among the rich classes in society that and considered these actions outside the jurisdiction of the police, which was composed of whites. Also Mary was known for her bad treatment of slaves. In 1833 Mary Delphine chased a young slave girl with a whip until the girl fell off the roof of the house and died. Her husband tried to cover up the incident, but the police found the girl's body hidden in a well and decided to impose a fine on Mary and ordered the sale of all her slaves. But she managed to evade this punishment with the help of relatives and friends who bought her slaves. The condition of all slaves was very bad from the large number of torture and lack of food. Wounds and deformities covered large patches of their bodies, but the matter of torturing slaves at the time was not strange, but on the contrary, the treatment of slaves sadistic and brutal was known among the rich classes in society that and considered these actions outside the jurisdiction of the police, which was composed of whites. Also Mary was known for her bad treatment of slaves. In 1833 Mary Delphine chased a young slave girl with a whip until the girl fell off the roof of the house and died. Her husband tried to cover up the incident, but the police found the girl's body hidden in a well and decided to impose a fine on Mary and ordered the sale of all her slaves. But she managed to evade this punishment with the help of relatives and friends who bought her slaves. Some say she boarded a ship that sailed Mandeville, and there are also those who say she headed for Covington and stayed there for 10 days. While others claim that she made her way to New York and then to Paris, and with no certainty about where Mary went, it remains another mystery among the many mysteries that surrounded Marie Delphine. Did she start with her husbands during the fire? And the press attention in Lalaury's house. Everyone overlooked the matter of her third husband, Dr. Leonard Lewis Nicholas Lalaury. He was not present during the fire. And before him there are also those who testified that they did not see him before the incident, or they know where he went as well. Did not appear after the incident. Did he know about it and followed Mary where she went, or did he meet another fate similar to the fates of his wife's slaves? And what raised concern about this matter is the mysterious circumstances surrounding the death of her first and second husband as well. What confirmed the suspicions of some is the finding of a cracked copper grave in the cemetery of St. Louis in Paris, France. Written on it, Mrs. Laure Marie Delphine died in Paris on December 7 in 1842, but according to what was stated in the archives of official papers in Paris, Mary died on December 7, 1849, and nothing was mentioned about her husband, so if he followed them, as was said, he would not have been buried near her, or at least there would not be papers of his own in the archives, as he found for his wife. As some wondered whether the disappearance of the Dr. Leonardo was related to the unconfirmed charge against him, which was that the doctor was the one who detained the slaves, and torturing them in order to conduct some medical experiments. A number of people testified that the Dr. Leonardo was neither friendly nor loved among his acquaintances. One of the neighbors, who worked as a judge, confirmed this. He said that when he once asked the doctor about the conditions of his slaves, the doctor replied in an impolite way, saying some people are better stayed in their homes instead of going to other people's homes to dictate the laws to them and interfere in their work. The ghosts of the place tell a lot of stories about the appearance of the ghosts of some of the slaves inside the house, and one of the most famous ghosts that were seen is the ghost of the little brunette girl killed by Mary. There is also a white ghost that has been seen several times, and it is said that this ghost is the Dr. Leonardo, Mary's husband. And people explained the reason for the appearance of his ghost is that he was probably killed inside his house and by his wife's hand.